Many of you may not know this, but I was in the seminary for 4 years, the Catholic seminary. How I got there, I'll tell you how. The Catholic seminary is basically a high school that is run by the Catholic Church, by the diocese, and we have like 10 of such in the country. For me, I was at St. Pius, the 10th seminary, somewhere in Kobo, Meru, Mera, Murome. And so I was there for 4 years, a period that had a huge impact in my life. That was the most impactful 4 years of my life yet. For 4 years I was there, and there's a lot I learned from that experience. So I'll be sharing with you 10 tips, 10 things I learned from the seminary. And yeah, if you're there considering going to the seminary or taking your kid there, this will be helpful for you. Uh, Before we go any further, this video is sponsored by Standard Clothing Store. Check them out in the comment section. I'll drop them in the comment section below. Is it the comment section or the description box below? So you can check them out and see what they have to offer. They have some of the best suits in the continent. Yes, I dare say that, in the continent, and accessories, shirts for both the modern, for both the young and the old. Basically, every modern man has everything they need to look dapper. Go check them out. They have a shop in town. You can reach out to them for more details. With that out of the way, let's talk about the 10 things I learned in the seminary. As I already told you, it's a Catholic run high school that has a lot of Catholic way of doing things. And being a Catholic, because I was very what I'm looking for the right word. I don't want to say in primary school I was indisciplined, but I had instances of indiscipline. I don't seem to find another word. And so my parents felt, especially my mother, the only way they could contain me with my attitude, with my kind of thinking, was to take me to a high school that has a kind of discipline like that of a military school. So that's how I found myself there. However, before then, I have an elder brother who was there and did very well and became a great man in the society. And so they thought if it worked for him, it will definitely work for me as well. I do not know if it worked, but at least I was able to tame my indiscipline in those 4 years. The rest we will know later. And those were my 4 years there, and I learned these 10 important lessons, important things that have molded me to the person I am today. I'm still a seminarian. We say once a seminarian, always a seminarian. That is called a minor seminary. Then for those who want to proceed and become priests, which is recommended, but no one pushes you to become one. In fact, I do not know of one priest who asked any of us to become a priest. None. Even though we had more priests than teachers around the school. All right? And a lot more I'll explain in the 10 things I learned from the seminary. The first one is that the seminary doesn't make you a pastor or a preacher. At first, my friends were laughing at me that, you know what, your parents now want you to become a preacher or a priest, a Catholic priest. But I later realized the role of the seminary is not to do that, but to create people they will churn out into the society and make good of this life. You do not have to be a priest. As I told you, I don't remember anyone telling me to be a priest. But the good habits, the good deeds, the good acts of kindness we were taught have made us great people that I believe, or we believe, we are today. So no one tells you, tries to make you a preacher or a pastor or a priest. No one, unless you want to. Well, quite a number of people each year, leave the minor seminary and proceed to the main seminary to become priests, which takes another, I think, 8 to 10 years. But most people come out and become normal members of the society and make an impact through that. Number 2 is that to rise early and manage my time in school and in the real world. Every single day in a minor seminary, you should attend a mass. That is mandatory. You'd be forgiven to miss a class. Well, that doesn't happen, but hypothetically, you'd be forgiven to miss a class than to miss church. Every morning, it's time for mass. I think it was from 6, not I think, yeah, 6 to around 7, 6:50 to 7 a.m. every single morning. Come rain, come sunshine. You had to be in church and participate actively. And from that, I learned how to manage my time. That was not all. The church, you had to be in church several times in a day. So after the first one, you go back to church, again, mandatory, at the lunch break for a few minutes. Then later in the evening, at around 5, is it 5? Yes, 5 p.m. After 5:30, after games, you go back to church for the evening prayers, and finally, before you go to bed, for night prayers from around, was it 9 or 9:30? Around that time. So my day was fully packed. If you're not in class, you're in church. If you're not in church, you're in the fields. You are ever busy doing something. And from that, I learned how to manage my time. Number 3, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. If there's something I learned that is necessary, that is important today from the seminary, is humility. Priests are the most humble people, probably the most humble people. Priests and police officers, not all, but most, are some of the most humble people I know of. Why? Because all they do is help people. And so I learned how important it was to be humble, to leave all the earthly belongings and serve the people. Some people think it's serving God, but I think you serve people. You serve God through people. So it's simply serving people, being next to people every now and then. That was number 3. Number 4, it's the importance of meditation. Every single month, we would have a Saturday, a dedicated Saturday, where we would meditate for a full day. We used to call it a recollection day. Every last Saturday of the month, we would do a recollection where you'd have a speaker with you, then spend the whole day. After every 1 hour of recollecting, you come back, hear from the speaker, go out again. Every 2 hours, I think, if I remember, every 2 hours. And the whole day will be just you and yourself. You're not allowed to speak to anyone. You're not allowed to consult. Just be quiet, be with your Bible, be with your book. If you are not okay reading a Bible, read any other book, but be by yourself in the field, in your classes, in not dormitories, anywhere else where you have some solitude. And it was awesome. Meditation is great. Looking back and, looking ahead and just enjoying life as it is. For a full day, it was something. I wish I can enjoy such moments today. When we have so many distractions, you wake up today, your phone is with you, you have Netflix to watch, you have this to do, too crowded of our life. That was a good moment every single month to just be by yourself for a full day and meditate. Next is number 5. Sometimes the appropriate theological answer is both / and. In most cases, you find people with conflicting ideas. Even for myself, I was studying about the church for those 4 years. Then after that, right after that, I went to college to study computer science. You all know science and religion are some of the most conflicting ideas we have in the world. But I learned a very important thing back then, that sometimes the right answer is just both. So if you ask me, it is science or God, or if you like religion, I'll tell you both. I tell you both. Why? I do not know. Sometimes the best answer is just both. It's just both. Sometimes I find myself trusting science more than God or than religion. But if you ask me, it's both. It helps you avoid so many conflicts and live a better life, a happier life by doing that. Next is number 6. You do not have to be in the ministry to have a ministry. You do not have to be a priest to preach the word of God. You do not have to be a priest to touch lives. You see the little things you do every day, all right? You see the people around you, the people in your home, the people at your workplace, that security guard you meet every day. How you treat them makes a whole difference than you being in church with a mic preaching to 1,000 people. Yes. That waiter, that waitress that you look down on, that's your ministry. What are you doing about it? That caretaker, that cleaner. Simply, I'm saying the people around you, how you treat them makes a whole difference. You do not need a church to have a mic and preach. You have a church around you every single day, including animals. How you treat that dog, that cat, that plant. We all have people around us. As we move around, as we travel, how do you treat other people? Do you let people go crying and wishing they never met you? You are a ministry. And you have a ministry. Number 7, good acts of kindness are better than shouting amen in church. Yes. Most of the people who shouted very loud amens in church and everywhere are mostly people who do other people wrong. Yes, they're just pretending to be nice people, but in reality, they are not. All right? The good acts of kindness you do every day. And do it without letting other people see. All right? Helping that guy. That compliment you give to a person. That warm handshake to make them feel valuable, valued, to make them feel wanted, loved. Making someone's day with a nice hug. Well, I don't think you can do that every day to every person, but simply I think you're getting my point. The good acts of kindness makes more impact than you trying to show everyone you're doing good. I'll give you an example. It doesn't make sense to leave your relative next door or your neighbor next door struggling, and then you go to, what do we call it? A children's home to offer millions of shillings. That's one of the things I learned in the seminary. It doesn't. And then you take so many videos, photos, and broadcast everywhere. Come on. Will you have a neighbor who is not sure of what they're taking next? Who slept on an empty stomach? I know they say that charity begins at home. But when it comes to being religious, you do not need to go make a huge impact in a good organization. Start with that one person, those 2 people around you. Start from there before you start thinking of those. Unless all these people around you are doing okay, then go out and offer the rest of the people help. That I learned it in the seminary. Next is number 8. You do not need material possessions to be happy and fulfilled. Let's face it. In today's world, we think you need all these type material possessions to be wealthy. Let me tell you something about Catholic priests. And that's how we were brought up. For those 4 years, we were still growing. We were teenagers. We were taught to believe and to open our eyes to see that you do not need to own that expensive car and that big house, that big home, have loads of shillings in your bank account for you to be happy. You do not need to. Most priests own nothing, especially the so-called, the ones called the missionary priests. They own nothing. Wherever they go, the society and the church provides for them. They own no cars, no car under their name. no houses, no homes, no piece of land, no nothing. The church provides everything for them, from food to shelter to clothing.